All right, everyone, the red light is going and we are recording. This is another episode of the Weekly SITREP where me, Mark from the Veteran Professional, and Kyle from Sitreps2Steercos get together and talk about some of the big events that happened in the past week. Um, so here we are on the 11th of January, 2021. And, 2020 ended a week and a half ago. And we thought that the curtain on that shit show was finally going to fall down and we were going to enter this amazing bliss of 2021. And then last week, we kind of had a pretty major incident here in the United States of America, where some people who had guns and who knows what else stormed our Capitol building. And so we're not here to talk about political stances or anything, but we just kind of wanted to point out a couple of things for everybody. First and foremost, whether we like it or not, whether you like it or not, Joe Biden is going to be our president. That's how it is at this point. The people have spoken, the politics have ended, the the powers that be have like verified the vote and everything, and all attempts at trying to repeal it have ended. So Joe Biden is going to be our president. And a lot of people have talked about in the last week and a half about um, they've compared these protests and like the violence that happened and everything with the protests this past summer after the George Floyd murders and Black Lives Matter and everything. Um, my thoughts on this are just this: is that I can hold two ideas in my head at the same time. So if we're talking about this summer, I can look at those protests and say, okay, protest, good; destruction of property, destruction of businesses, bad. All right. I'm holding both of those things in my head at the same time. Like my brain didn't just explode. Just looking at last week as well, I could say, if you want to go to the Capitol and protest, great. That's your right as an American citizen. Going and storming the Capitol building, arms, ready to take over or something. I don't know what. That's bad, right? And I can hold both those things in my head at the same time and not be completely disparaging of what someone's doing. Um, so that's really kind of all we're going to say about this in this conversation right now, and that's it. So if you have any thoughts or anything, just let us know, and we can talk about it at some other point. Um, okay, so now we're going to move into the Civvy Sit Rep. So this is the portion where we talk about, or excuse me, what am I talking about? This is the mission brief. We're talking about what has happened in the past week in relation to the defense world, national security. And so what we're looking at right now is the acquisition of Aerojet Rocketdyne by Lockheed Martin. Okay. So Kyle, can you fill us in a little bit on like why Lockheed might want to make this acquisition?
Yeah. So interesting acquisition by Lockheed Martin, but one that strategically makes sense. So like these defense contractors all kind of like work together, right? And there's heavy integration across supply chains and business arrangements. So periodically it makes sense for you to say, hey, we're going to acquire this company that's already supplying a bunch of parts, that's critical for a huge business line, and we'll just do this integration, right? And at some level, we'll achieve synergies out of it. We'll get cheaper supplies. We'll be able to sell to other people, right? So there's like things that make like these deals sort of that makes sense, right? But in particular, the 4.4 billion acquisition of Aerojet Rocketdyne by Lockheed Martin, it will add a substantial expertise in propulsion to Lockheed Martin's portfolio, if it's approved, which it's going to be a test for the incoming Biden administration here, and if they want to do it, because there's been increased consolidation across the defense contracting world. I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, so basically like a huge portion of Aerojet Rocketdyne's propulsion systems are already part of Lockheed Martin's supply chain, and many of their advanced systems across its aeronautics, missiles, fire control, and space businesses. So this is a deal that makes sense. But what's interesting about it is the Biden administration is going to have to decide if they want to greenlight it or not, especially after the mega merger of Raytheon and United Technologies. United Technologies, maybe a more sinister defense, sinister is the wrong word, generic defense contracting name, right? They're actually the ones that own Sikorsky. So these huge mergers have really created just not as many defense contractors as there used to be. Like back in the 90s, or early 90s, there were a ton, and now it's kind of coming down to a few. And so this like vertical integration rather than elimination through competition is just this seems to be the feature these days, probably because these defense contractors have massive contracts with the government, and the government technology has gotten more complicated as well. So I don't know, interesting. We'll see if they'll use the antitrust green light or not, but
Yeah,
I bet they don't.
I do want to highlight a business world buzz speak here for everyone. So you've probably heard the word synergy before, and like you hear it kind of made fun of. It's like the like stereotypical business buzz speak word, like synergy, and you can't say synergy without putting your hands together and like meshing them together and everything.
Yeah.
But in reality, like when you're seeing like companies are merging together, an acquisition is being made, and the synergies that are created from that, it's kind of been like bastardized into this crazy word and everything, but like that is like legit the word that is used, and it's not like seen as this disgusting kind of word, because it's just the best word to try and capture what is happening when companies are merging together, or one company is acquiring another, and capabilities are overlapping together to create synergistic effects between those two organizations.
Yeah, and it's interesting is the synergies word also holds a different meaning, or it holds a more special connotation, right? Because it's implying something more specific than just 1+1 = 2. It's implying 1+1 = like 5, right?
Yeah.
So like if you take two companies and you add them together, like the resulting output is not supposed to be just the sum of their parts plus the sum of their parts. There's like some sort of multiple or exponential growth. There's some sort of like hidden value that's unlocked by all this. It doesn't happen every time in practice. In fact, sometimes it blows up quite hilariously, and then they sell the company or business unit off a few years later. But in general, it's supposed to kind of create this synergistic effect on all sorts of things. So yeah, generally when you hear people talking about deal theses, synergies are going to be like the buzzword thrown around as you articulated.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, we're gonna leave the mission brief behind and head into the Civi Sitrep here. So, looking kind of exclusively on what is happening in the civilian world, politics, business that you need to know about, so that you can take this information and go and crush it on the outside after you put your hands back in your pockets in the civilian world. All right. So, our
That's
first
right.
story is kind of getting back into politics here a little bit. So Amazon runs everyone knows of Amazon for Amazon Prime and buying everything and anything under the sun on Amazon. Amazon Prime Video, Amazon Music, everything. You probably have an Echo in your house or Alexa or whatever. People use Amazon for everything. The one thing or part of Amazon's business that most like the average consumer doesn't know about is Amazon Web Services. Okay. So this is basically like the cloud infrastructure that runs a lot of stuff. All right. A lot of businesses use AWS to help run their business. It's like the cloud that powers a lot of businesses. So in the last couple of days, Amazon removed Parler from AWS. And to my knowledge, this is the first time that Amazon has entered this field and canceled out or you're taking a certain platform off. We've seen Facebook silence people, we've seen Twitter silence people. I think Google and Apple may have here or there, but I think this is the first we've heard of Amazon entering this space and doing something via AWS. So what are your thoughts on this, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of good baseline on why maybe like the ecosystem here, right? So, like I talked about Parler, I think a couple weeks after the election, and kind of said, hey, I'm seeing a lot of people saying, oh, I'm going to Parler. Here's my Parler ID, yada, yada, yada. And my kind of like initial reaction was, well, this app is never going to survive. And the reason for that, right, is because, you know, technology companies are, even though they might appear like asset light, right? Because, hey, it's just like software and everything, they're actually really expensive to run. And they're expensive to run for all sorts of reasons, like You got to like constantly be innovating. You got to hire really smart people to work there because it's so competitive out in the tech market. There's server costs. There's all these different costs they have to pay, right? Um, and so like my initial take on Parler was like, oh, who's going to advertise on this thing? One, how are they going to stay competitive? And three, I was always kind of worried there's going to be some sort of like event, right, that Parler somehow got roped into, or series of events, and basically like they're going to be shut down, right? And they'd be shut down from the different hosting systems and distribution systems that they rely on to spread the app. And so, first you had Google Play shut them down. And it was like, okay, Parler's kicked off the Google Play Store, so no more Parler on Android phones. And then you had Apple, basically tell them like, hey, you have like 24 hours to give us a plan, or we're going to kick you off. And then, you still could have accessed it, right? Even if both of those things had happened, you still could have accessed Parler on a computer or mobile browser. But with AWS, which is the, basically the cloud hosting engine that the software runs on, kicking them off of that, I mean, they're done, right? Because they would have to go and like build like, or find like another hosting service or build one from scratch, right? Neither of two are going to be like very like feasible. Like I don't think Microsoft Azure is going to go host Parler if Amazon's not going to. So I mean, it's a pretty big. When that happened, I was like, okay, damn, they're really shutting it down. Like, because it's almost impossible to come back from that. Like, it takes a huge amount of money to even think that you could build your own thing that wouldn't get overwhelmed. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like I've never seen anything like this. But to be clear, nobody's being deplatformed because they're advocating against capital gains taxes, right? It's more of, we want to hang the vice president sort of thing and storming the Capitol.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next story.
Well, I did want to add one thing, and that was when you think of how significant AWS is to Amazon's business, right? I have like two short like stories, right? The first one is that the CFO of Amazon is a graduate of my MBA program. Now, I think he graduated like 20 years ago, right? He's still like the CFO. I've actually seen him talk. You can, because Amazon's a publicly traded company, you can look up their what their executives make, and this guy makes way less than the guy that runs AWS, right? And as a metric to put that in perspective, why I've got this pulled up. It says AWS revenue accounted for 13% of Amazon's total revenue, right? So top line, how much do they make before expenses? And out of Amazon's total 3.1 billion in operating income, which is EBIT, or their base profit for depreciation and amortization, 52% of that came from AWS, right? So think about that metric there. It's 13% of their revenue, but 52% of their profit. Like, is crazy, So yeah, huge business.
Yeah, for those of you listening, I'm shaking my head big time right now because it's a massive part of their business, and I think it's important for those of you out there who thinks that Amazon is just a place to go and buy new socks and soap and everything. It's not. There's so much more to their ecosystem than just that. So yeah, thanks for bringing up those stats, Kyle. Those are good ones. All right, next we're gonna head to stay in the tech realm, and Kyle shared this really cool article with me called "Tech That Will Change Your Life in 2021." So why don't you kind of spit out what your thoughts on putting out here are, Kyle?
Yeah, this is really interesting, right? Because there's like a couple things going on in the economy right now. The first is that the stock market is like at all-time highs, right? Like we saw that like during the Capitol thing. It was like, see the government burning down, stock market at all-time highs. Insane. But it's really been this like combination of several years of work that has kind of like led up to this point, and the pandemic just accelerated the adoption of all this technology, right? And this stuff isn't like going to go away like when the pandemic is over, because the pandemic is going to not just like end at a certain date, right? It's going to kind of like gradually like
right
slope off until things are back.
We're not going to have some like magical announcement that's like, congratulations, COVID's done today. It's not going to happen like that.
Yeah, I remember people thought it was going to be like 2 weeks. It's like, yeah, no way. But what's interesting, right, is it's talks about it, and it's basically like, hey, like Hollywood is now permanently going to reside in your home here, right? Like there's like all these studios are going to be releasing stuff on like HBO Max or
Yeah.
probably Netflix, everything and else. And I mean that's just it's crazy. I mean there'll still be movie theaters. It's just it's not going to be like what you used to see before. The other one that I thought was really interesting was uh, the reality assisted, not augmented. People think that maybe I back up a little bit. Maybe a couple months ago, maybe before Christmas, right? Or before Christmas, I was looking to buy a new pair of Allbirds shoes, and obviously, uh, I'm not anywhere near an Allbirds store, nor is one open, right? So I pulled open my handy Allbird app and was looking at different shoes, and it said, "Hey, point them at your feet, and you can see how they try on, right?" And the phone superimposed all Allbird shoes of my choosing
What? That's
on
crazy.
onto my feet, and I was
I've
like,
heard of
"Damn."
that with like furniture and stuff, but not with
Yeah.
shoes.
And
Yeah.
it was pretty good. I was like, okay, like I was trying different styles. I was like, okay, maybe this one. Okay, yeah, I like this color. And the color I picked actually was this kind of like limited edition brand that they were only running for a short time. So it was a riskier choice, right? But like after seeing it on my feet, I was like, okay, this probably works. Um, and you're going to start to see more stuff like that in the near future. Like there's talk like Apple's going to come out with some sort of like Apple Glass, right? I think you've got
Yeah.
the Google Glass that rapidly got too weird, so we kind of shut it down.
Yeah.
But Apple will fix that. The other ones are remote workouts, doctor visits, the whole Peloton thing, the telehealth. The future's here, and we're not going back. People are going to have found it too convenient. But I think the most interesting thing has been the actual explosion of e-commerce, right? So e-commerce has already been like something that's been picking up for a while, and um, obviously everybody buying stuff at home, right? And it hasn't just been for Amazon, right? Even though Amazon is buying up and making all these new distribution centers, um, other retailers like Walmart and Target, who've been trying to build out an e-commerce footprint for years now, are really taking advantage of this. And there's a lot of reasons for a lot of optimism here in 2021, 2022. I know we're already talking about 2022 one weekend, because this trend is not going to go away, right? And all these people that are being hired to keep working at these places or involved in this ecosystem are going to continue to be employed, and they're going to hire more people. So, I mean, like fast free shipping is now going to kind of just be like required. Um, and also like just like pick up orders and everything. And I mean, Walmart launched a Prime membership. Was it called Walmart Plus, right? And they eliminated like order minimums and shipping fees and everything. So it's here, right? And we probably would have had to wait like maybe like another 4 or 5 years for it, but we're gonna
Yeah.
be getting it a few years sooner. So I mean, this is all stuff that's gonna like just change your life. I mean, here I'm hanging out in Montgomery, Alabama, not exactly the a super advanced, like city, like when I was living in Chicago, right? Where they had like same day delivery for Amazon and stuff. But now you can order like all sorts of stuff here. It's crazy. It's like, food
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff from the grocery store. It
Yeah.
didn't used to be like that. So.
There's two companies that have like really taken off pretty big time in the last year. And I think like the rise of their stock has like some underlying trends that are important to see. So the first one is Shopify. So if you
Mhm.
know Shopify, so Shopify is like the backbone that most e-commerce stores run on. So if you want to start a little shop or sell something, or if you got like a little t-shirt brand or whatever, most people go to Shopify and like that's how they make their store. Shopify like creates the page, it integrates all the pricing and selling, and like helps you sell whatever it is you're trying to sell. Okay, so you've seen their price kind of go just bonkers in the last year. And I think there's kind of like a couple underlying things there. Like one, you're seeing brands that are realizing that like they need to get online and sell, and they can't rely entirely just on Amazon, and they can't rely entirely on brick and mortar stores. And like they need their own platform to sell stuff. And then additionally, I think you're seeing some people who maybe got laid off or have concerns about future economic health, and are like looking to start a little side hustle or something. And I think like they're going to Shopify for that. And then the next one that kind of dovetails with that is Fiverr. So Fiverr is a site you can go to, and hire people for any number of things. You can hire them.
I've used them to design my logo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
You can hire them
like
to like
things.
edit writing, to create
Yeah.
graphic designs, to just be like a general virtual assistant, whatever. And again, like people all over the world are getting on this thing because they're unsure about the economic future. They couldn't go work at their regular in-person job, so now they're starting off on Fiverr, like trying to get some type of hustle going online. And I don't think those types of things are going to go away anytime soon. And people are going to see that this thing is is unstable, and it can quickly turn around on us. And like, let's have something, another source of income coming in. And also, I don't know if I want to go back into work anytime soon, so maybe I'll try and work entirely online. But the job I had before wasn't online, so I got to figure out my new future online. um, yeah, the whole COVID thing from 2020, sorry, is just like totally amplified, things that wouldn't have happened for another 10 years has just fast forwarded technological process and adoption.
Yeah. I mean, and Shopify actually has some fairly, large as a kind of like ready ERP for small businesses, right? Which is essentially what it is, enterprise resource program. You actually have some like fairly decent traffic that runs through there. Like people like sell a lot of stuff, and just like some dude slinging t-shirts. It's also like
Yeah, big time.
some businesses are worth millions of dollars, right? Like at some level, right, it starts to become too complicated, but at a certain scale it works if you're not selling.
I think they've had one or two, maybe even like $1 billion brands come out of Shopify.
Yeah,
like get started on there.
It's crazy, the democratization, right? Like generally the idea is you'll always see entrepreneurship flourish when like kind of cost inputs to business falls, and this is just another one of them. Anybody can run an online store now. You just have to pay $30 a month. So yeah, it's wild. It's wild. And there's ways to make money, right? Like I'm like I know how to do stuff in Smartsheet, which is this project management tool, this cloud-based project management tool. And on Fiverr, there are people who sell Smartsheet like stuff. Like, here, I'll design your Smartsheet thing. And I'm like, geez, really? Like, I don't think it's that complicated. I was like, maybe I should do this, but it's crazy. I mean,
yeah,
it's nuts. But
so the last two things I'll say in this is like, one, if you're looking for just like a little side hustle, Fiverr's a good place to go. Additionally, if you're interested, so I just recently wrote an article on my site about ways that veterans can buy a small business. So if you go to Shopify Marketplace, you can actually find Shopify stores that people have built that they're now putting up for sale. So if you got like, some spare cash laying around or something, and your Bitcoin went bonkers or whatever, you're trying to figure out what to do with that money, it's a place to look. I'll tell you this.
Online leverage buyout.
Yeah, exactly, man. I'll tell you this right now. I've looked on there myself. 95% of it is hot garbage, but there are some gems hidden in the rough in there. So just check it out, people. Anyway.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I don't think anything bad.
All right. The last thing we're going to talk about are job interviews. So this one was kind of fun to read, and I think one of the things that I enjoyed about it. So we're looking at this article right now, just about job interviews and like what the dynamic is like when you're going into an interview. And I think one of the funniest things that I read in this was the kind of thing that like both people in a job interview are lying, and like they know that each other are lying, and then like everyone is kind of complicit in the lie. Like, that you're going in and you're probably like inflating your record a little bit, and that the person across the table from you is probably not giving you like the most accurate picture of this company because they need to hire someone and they don't want to scare you away with 18-hour days or anything. That's the reality of it. And then the person who's hiring is like, they know you're inflating your record a little bit, and like they know they're deflating the number of hours they work or whatever to like make it sound better. But everyone is kind of just like smiling and nodding along, be like, yeah, this sounds good. I need a job. Can you hire me? Great, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of like marketplace matching. It almost kind of has to do with the whole marriage dilemma, which like one female, many suitors, right? So they have to kind of like express interest in everybody's trying to find a match. I mean, I hate job interviews, right? I mean, who would like them?
Nobody.
They're a huge pain in the ass, and they're always like a little too high stakes. But there's good reason why people lie, right? Why both parties are lying, because they've kind of like gotten to a point, right? Like if you've never gone through like job interviews for, say, like an MBA level position or some sort of like, I mean, really just professional level positions, right? It's usually kind of like this like 6-course meal of like talking, expressing interest, talking to people within the company, right? Going through like a phone screen and going through like one interview and then another interview, and then like going to like some sort of like final super day, right? It just depends on the sort of job, right? But for the ones that pay quite a bit of money, it's kind of like that. And so companies end up having to invest a lot of time and resources into this, because they do need people, and they have positions to fill, and they only have so much time to do it. And some of the advice I give people about job interviews is, you know, you're trying to check off in the other person's head. Like the other person has like this like model or schema in their head based off their experience. If the company has picked generally the right person, which sometimes they do. They've been at the company for a little while, and they kind of have an idea of what they're looking for. They're the hiring manager, and they want to like check off in their head like yes, yes, yes. They want to get to yes, right? And you're trying to help them get to yes, right? And so that's where this like dynamic that they're more willing to believe the lies you tell them than than normal, right? But yeah, it was really 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 interesting. But I actually think it does. Did you read the part where they talked about like everybody knows how to explain away like oh, why'd you leave your old company? You're like, I was ready for a new challenge, like aka I fucking hated where I was working.
Yeah.
You know but like the one part I liked about it, oh yeah, like, so what was your decision to leave even with nothing else lined up? And it says here the candidate is trying to cover up for a messy backstory about his departure, being like, yeah, everything went to hell, and
Yeah.
I was just ready to leave. But the one thing I did like about it is they talked about how to like kind of grill the company, right? And I think this is important for people who are interviewing. And so there's like every interviewer swears that they've got a fabulous corporate culture. Everybody like, oh, it's the best place to work here, right? And it's obviously total bullshit. There's no way every company can have a great. There's no way most of them can have good corporate culture. But so like what they said, like the kind of trick is, right, like you want to ask like the pro and con approach, right, which is intentionally like give the hiring manager like a softball question about the company that they'll like probably like not be negative on, right? Like, what do people love most about the company culture is the example given, right? And that's clearly like there's a softball one. It's like I it's almost like a rhetorical question, right? And then it's like, and then you need to probe the negative, right? And it says what leads to people not working out at the company. So you like totally go like the opposite way, and like I'm like softball to like super like negative, right? And because somebody has already like comfortably told you like some bullshit, right? They'll be more comfortable to like kind of give you like a more straight answer, which I thought was really funny. It's something I'm going to use from now on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're bringing up a really important dynamic in that the interview is not just an interview. It's not just you trying to get hired. It's also you trying to figure out if this is a place you want to get hired and if this is a place you actually want to work. Um, most interviews are going to have a couple of stages throughout them. You're probably not going to get a one and done for
Mm-hmm.
really good professional jobs. And so throughout that process, like it's on you to figure out, like, do I actually want to spend time at this place? Like, do I want to work here? It's not just a paycheck. It's like where you're going to be spending a lot of your life. And if you don't like it, then I don't know if it's really going to be worth it. And so it's important to like figure that out and ask those tough questions to know, like, is this something that's going to bring me value? And like, is this in my career path? And like, is this something that I want to spend time and effort on?
Yeah, and ideally you would have like several options to make that decision, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of wouldn't be forced to you. When I graduated my MBA program, I had an offer. I could have had more, and it's not me bragging. I felt fairly confident. But I had 3 offers, and one was an offer with United Airlines in their financial analyst group, which I thought was pretty cool. And the other one was an offer at the Secret Service for their internal consulting group in DC, which was also pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the last one was for my old firm, the M&A group, and that one paid the most, right? And I definitely knew it probably was going to have the worst culture, simply because it's the sort of job it was. But I mean, I guess it worked out. I learned a lot there, and it was actually government shutdown proof and COVID proof. Essentially, which actually came to be really amazing. Surprised it pushed through like that. But yeah, I mean, you always want to try and look at what's best for you, and try to, and for some jobs that don't have like where you get promoted quickly, right? Like in consulting, you get promoted quickly. You're also trying to find out like what are the opportunities for advancement. Like if I get hired into this position, is it going to be a stagnant position? And that can be tough to discern, right? And so you're usually trying to tease that out of other employees, right? And kind of evaluate it. And so hopefully you have like a couple of offers, if you're good, that you can then evaluate holistically against each other and not just, take one because it's the only thing you have.
Right. Right.
But, I will say the one thing about this is a lot of veterans, right? You're kind of trained to like tell the truth, and that's obviously good. Everybody, lying's not good. But when it comes to job offers, right, or job interviews, like you are always going to lie a little bit. It's just the way it works out. And you don't always have to be entirely truthful with what your past salary was, right? Because you're trying to set up salary expectations. And if a company's going to pay you something, right, like they're going to pay you it. It's really tough to verify salary in the real world, because most companies aren't going to release that data because salary information is like super private. It's like not, it's something that's pretty close hold. There's very little transparency about it in the private sector. And so if you like tell an employer that you're making 150 grand and they're willing to match it, then that's not your fucking fault. That's their fault for like being willing to pay you that. Right.
Yeah.
So just always something to consider. Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of veterans maybe shortchange themselves.
I think in particular when you're coming out like that first job or two right after the military, where you have the strong potential of possibly making a lot more in your post-military life. Maybe you were a O2, O3 or E7 or something, but you're looking at a job that's going to pay like 150K, then you don't have to tell them you were making that, that government salary at, O3 with 7 years or whatever. They don't really know that. I mean, and don't restrain yourself because of that, because like that was just the system that we were in. We were paid on a fixed schedule and like that's how it was, but that's not how it works on the outside. So don't limit yourself because of, that past system from the military.
Yeah, it's always important to remember that when you're out there by yourself, right, and nobody's gonna look after you. So you don't do anything that's like, malignant or narcissistic or psychopathic, right?
Right.
But
right.
Remember that like you need to always look out for yourself. I think is probably the takeaway there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that kind of wraps up our stories from the week. But before we close out, two things that I want to highlight. So one, there was someone who posted on, or excuse me, who commented on a post that Kyle had today about
the Vets Biz battle. Yeah.
Right. Well, oh yeah, I'm meet to that second too. So anyway, it was one of my previous podcast guests. It was episode 14 with Devin Ravel. So he's a former Marine Corps officer who found his way working into tech after the Marines. So he's a guy who doesn't have a tech background. He doesn't know coding, programming, or anything, but he's just straight crushing it in the tech world. And so if you're interested in tech, but not necessarily, going into software engineering or something, it's a good episode to listen to. And he's a super smart, well put together guy. And then the last thing that I want to talk about. So Rice University has a huge pitch competition for aspiring entrepreneurs, and really cool. They have a one specifically for veterans. So it's called the Veterans Business Battle. So currently they have applications open for those of you who maybe have a pitch, or have a business that you're looking on putting together. So the event will take place April 23rd to the 24th. I'm looking for dates on when the application ends. I want to say
I think it needs to be in by April 4th. Oh no, wait.
it's
Hold on.
February 4th.
Yeah, hold on. The guy who runs it was texting me. Let me read
Right
his
on.
text.
Give us a sec here, folks.
He says, yeah, deadline of February 5th.
February 5th. Okay,
and,
cool.
And so about this, right? Him and I were actually on the phone talking about this a couple days ago, and he told me, he's like, look, we don't want to have like coffee companies, right? Like we don't want another Black Rifle coffee company. We want like some sort of like scalable tech business, right? Or some sort of business that can be scaled into something much bigger. And this is an interesting event, right? Like, I wish other veteran programs would do this, right? I think Rice has really done a great job at differentiating themselves in the MBA market with this. Is like, this is like they actually like give out like a fair amount of money, right?
Yeah.
And there's like opportunities to like get real grants and like really like get connected, right? Sometimes the connections are more valuable than the money. With the actual people who can either want to take like equity stakes or connect you or introduce you or mentor you. Which in the business world is really how things get done, right? It's not, it's much more relationship based than it is kind of hierarchical based, like you might experience in the military. And so this is a great opportunity. And you obviously don't have to be an MBA student to do it, but just to make sure everybody knows that you could just be running a business and submit it. But anyway, yeah, Vets Biz Battle, Rice University, really great opportunity if you want to take a part of it.
Right. And one thing I'll add, so they are definitely are looking for certain types of businesses with this. But what I'll tell you is, like, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur out there, go ahead and submit. Right. The worst that can happen is they say no. And if you get into the competition, the worst that can happen is you'll lose. All right.
And the best and you also learn something, right? It's not
right. And the thing with like pitch competitions is like they're kind of looking for a certain profile of company. It's not a like who's going to be the best company necessarily. It's competition. The dynamics are different. So all I'm saying is, like, don't hold yourself back on this. Okay. So that wraps up the episode for the week. Before we close out, Kyle, you got any last words?
No, I don't know. It's been an exhausting week.
It's been an exhausting week. Yeah.
I hope we can all move on from all this craziness, and America's a much better place when it's focused on making money and people getting to live their lives and not worried, not having the legislative and executive branch fighting each other. So so I hope we can all move on from this and get back to normal, whatever that is. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And I'll say with that, one of the things that I appreciated from my time in the Army was getting a chance to work with a lot of people from all different walks of life and all different parts of the country. And so I think we can be, as veterans, really good at seeing things from someone else's perspective. And so I would challenge all of you, if you're interacting with someone from, across the political aisle, in whatever form of the conversation is, like, approach that conversation with a willingness to learn, like, what their thoughts are, and a desire to find whatever the points of compromise and whatever the points of mutual agreement between the two of you are. There may not be a lot, but I'm sure and confident that they're there somewhere. So I ask all of you to approach conversations like that, and I think that's, if we can all do that, it's a better way forward for America. All right, so that wraps it up. You all stay safe. Enjoy the start of 2021, and we'll see you all next week. All right, take care.
Peace.